Julian McKenzie is our guest. Sorry, let me do this again. Julian McKenzie is our guest here, and we brought him in for a very special reason. Not just because he's a basketball guy in our city, but also because he won a really prestigious award this week from Sportsnet. Julian, tell us a bit about it.
The contest is from Sportsnet. They had this Sportsnet recruited contest, and essentially what it was is they offered a $10,000 scholarship prize to young aspiring sports journalists. And the way to enter that contest, they have to submit some of their work that they've done for any student publications, from either video work or written work and any audio stuff. So I submitted a bunch of pieces that I've written for the Concordia University newspaper, The Link, where I am the online sports editor there. And one of the pieces I submitted, which ended up being the winning piece, was this piece called From Stinger to Gaiter. And that piece, if you guys haven't read it,
I read it.
Did you like it?
It's a good piece. Cool. It basically, just to hop in, it was about a guy basically transferred from one team to another, and the relationship kind of with the ex-girlfriend, his ex-coach. I really enjoyed it, but speak more about it.
Yeah, when I got into Concordia, at that point, Kyle Desmarais, the name of the player, he was taking a year off from the game. He was still at Concordia, but he was off, and then eventually he transferred over to Bishops. And I got in contact with him just before he made his return to Concordia. There was a game between Bishops and Concordia at the Concordia gym. And he just went in on his time at Concordia, and then he started going in on his time with former Stingers head coach John Doerr. And he was going on, basically they just didn't see eye to eye. He didn't feel as if Doerr did enough to give the Stingers a chance to really go far in the playoffs and at national tournaments. And one thing that really struck me is that Desmarais said he didn't really see much of John Doerr in the off season. And one thing I realized with college players, I mean, you got to do that training in the off season to make sure you're good enough to go to the playoffs. Have a successful regular season campaign. And now the Stingers have a new head coach, Ratko Popovich. Now that Doerr retired. Funny enough about that article, the same week that the article dropped was the same week Doerr announced his retirement.
Gotcha.
So I thought the athletic department's gonna love this story. But one thing that was made clear when they brought in their new coach was that they were gonna really emphasize on having these off-season programs and really working hard in the off-seasons. That made me think of that article and made me think of how John Doerr might have done things with Desmarais. It was enough to get him to go. And the one thing that really, as Desmarais said, broke the camel's back was the Stingers were actually holding a practice closer to the season, and Desmarais skipped out on that to go to the NBL draft.
Right.
Draft combine, and that didn't really work out well, and it ended up breaking them there. But if you were there at that game where Desmarais was playing against Concordia, he was just balling out, and there was no hugging, no real dap, hey, we miss you, nothing like that. At the end of the game, there's a handshake line. Desmarais and Doerr meet up. They kind of just tapped each other in the hand and just went off on their separate ways. And one thing that really ate me up about the article was that Doerr, usually you get the voice from one side. Desmarais obviously spoke a lot about it,
right.
But Doerr didn't really speak too much about it. He's like, he's just another player, and I tried to get something outside of him. He's just about it. He didn't really want to go in on it, which is really interesting.
So you said it was $10,000. That's a lot of cash. But you're a man of many hats. You also have a show at CJLO, and you intern at TSN. Tell us a bit of the few different things you do around the
Yeah. As you mentioned at CJLO, I have a sports show called The Starting Rotation. Me and a few friends, we got together and we made the show, big sports show. Obviously, we talk hockey, we talk basketball. We talk football.
Oh, we may have to call in.
That's what I'm saying. Definitely, you guys need to be on the show because we can't get enough guests on the show.
And so I guess in your Twitter handle, it's Julian the Intern.
Julian the Intern.
That comes from TSN, I'm guessing.
That comes from TSN. I had this other Twitter handle. It was a really stupid one. The realest JMac, because a lot of people call me JMac, and I just tried to play on the whole real thing. And one day at TSN, one of the hosts, Simon Salikas, was asking me about it, and I said the realest JMac, and he's like, dude, you need to change that handle. So I said, you know what? I'm an intern there. Let me play off that fact. So that's how Julian the Intern was born onto Twitter. So you can follow me on Twitter, Julian the Intern.
Well, congratulations. Like I said, don't spend all that money in one place. It's great that we have a lot of young basketball minds in the city.
The media is growing in Montreal.
Yeah, that's another thing too, man.
Well, it's really great to see things grow here. As we said, I have a piece coming out this week called We the North, and it's about how basketball has really grown around our country, not just in Toronto, but here, Atlantic Canada, Vancouver. I interviewed actually 6 different journalists around the country, including our own Justin Rowan in Manitoba. Basically, it's just sprouting up everywhere, and Julian's a testament to how it's just like this game is loved by generations young and old. I was having a conversation the other night with a woman in her 60s who was a Popovich fan, and I was just like, I just love this. I love this to death. And anyways, Julian, I wanted to thank you for being on the show, and as always, check us out on hoopslounge.com and on Facebook, facebook.com/hoopslounge.
Exactly. Well, this has been Hoops Lounge Radio here in the beautiful green room, Maison Sociale. Get out there, enjoy the day, and watch some basketball. Catch it all in the lounge.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Mark.